So, as a pretty experienced Destiny player, I've heard the comment a lot from non-Warlock mains playing Warlock that this jump sucks or Warlocks have the worst jump in the game. And most people accept that as true. However, today I'm going to show you why every speedrun team uses Warlocks, aside from just Wells, and the capabilities of the superb movement that this class allows with its very complex jump. So the first question we must ask
They're heading for
ourselves
another
is,
site.
what jump should I use? And almost 100% of the time, it's going to be Burst Glide. This jump gives you a speed boost upon activation, and later abilities we will cover will show us how to make up for that lost mobility. Now, the main difficulty for most people is figuring out how this jump actually works. For example, when you hit your jump just after you leave the ground, you'll go up. However, a lot of people get confused and think that's just how the jump works. It is not. When you are in air, it will respond differently at what point you are falling at. For example, if I jump off of this and I press right now, it'll just hover downward. However, if I jump off of this and press it instantly, I'll go up just like a normal jump. And if I jump up, wait for a little bit, I will kind of hover, then glide down slowly. Many different ways to use this jump, and that's what gets people messed up a lot of the time, is they don't know when to activate their jump in midair to get their desired outcome. The best way to fix this is to actually just play with it. Play some strikes, jump around, do some story missions, just play the game with the Warlock subclass, and you'll get to figure out how this jump actually works over time, and eventually you'll get more used to it when the time comes that you need to actually learn your speed techs. If we are speaking strictly movement, then the choice is obvious for aspects. Icarus Dash, which helps you dodge in midair, which is very, very, very important for almost all Warlock movement techs. You will be using Icarus Dash pretty much exclusively. Heat Rises also allows you to have verticality, something that the Warlock base jump struggles with. This is by far my favorite aspect in the game. Icarus Dash is simply that, just in-air dash. However, when you chain it with Burst Glide before you activate the dash, instead of canceling your momentum after the dash, it actually keeps it, and it makes you go flying. You should get used to this. It's very, very, very important for all Warlock movement techniques you will learn from here on out. Icarus Dash also makes you vulnerable to physics damage, so if you're going fast, you can use Icarus to bounce off surfaces or keep your momentum. That's also very, very important. The next and final aspect you'll need is Heat Rises. Now, this allows you to float in the air infinitely so long as the timer is still up. You do this by considering a grenade, and then simply floating, and it will allow you to stay in the air However, the cool part about it is that any upward momentum that is gained while you have the Heat Rises perk on, it conserves it for a very ridiculously long time. Meaning that you can effectively scale walls with something like the mountaintop, which does allow you to effectively rocket jump yourself. Now that we've got what we need for the class itself, what's necessary for other Warlock movements? With the introduction from Mountaintop from the Into the Light update, you can now rocket jump in Destiny. With the aforementioned Heat Rises technique, you can climb any wall now, no matter how high. Also, another integral piece of movement, or heck, for all subclasses, is the Eager Edge Sword. These are most commonly found on the two swords from Jez of Eternity, the other half and half truths, which by the way are both craftable if you want to go that route. These are two options you can get pretty easily. However, if you need to farm for the Mountaintop as well, in the same update, there was also the Falling Guillotine, which also has the Eager Edge perk on it. Eager Edge gives your sword increased lunge distance, which means that if we swap off it after we swing, we can get some crazy momentum going for almost free. Basically, just by pulling out our sword, we can get free skating. This can also be done with the Valiant Charge perk, which comes on other random world drop swords, but it is indeed not consistent. Even though you are able to get 2 swings out of it, I personally don't think it's worth sacrificing the consistency of Icarus for Valiant Charge. Now these aren't necessarily required, but it could help you if you are going for some specific skips. Transversive Steps helps your sprint speed. Starfire Protocol gives you 2 fusion nades, which means 2 heat rises charges on demand. And Sun Bracers can give you infinite solar grenades upon a charged melee kill, which means that you can get infinite heat rises procs off them for a few seconds. Alright, so it's finally time to get into the techniques that make the Warlock subclass the best movement subclass in the game. However, some of these techniques require pretty precise timing, so nobody sane is going to fault you for using a macro or so. However, I do assure you all of these can be done manually. They do not require one, however, using a macro can make you much more consistent in especially tight conditions. The first one I will be showing you is jump spamming or scroll wheel jumping. The second technique I will be showing you is called ramping or scroll wheel skating. 3 is known as heat rises plus strafe glide. 4, the Wellskate, and finally number 5, snap canceling. So for our first technique, we will be learning jump spamming. Now this is done by binding your jump to your scroll wheel. Up or down works just fine, and then simply scrolling down. As you can hear, that jump is getting procced a bunch of times because we put it on our scroll wheel, right? So this is going to be very crucial for what we end up doing next, which is ramping. And this uses the technique that we previously showed with the jump bound to the scroll wheel, and then it allows us to scale inclines like this, almost any incline, incredibly fast while proccing our jump multiple times, resulting in a big burst of speed. The next thing we will cover is heat rises plus strafe glide. Now, this is quite impractical as neither one of them are up usually all the time and really aren't as on demand as the other abilities that we will discuss, but it's also worth noting because you do move fairly fast in this mode. This can be done while you're in Dawnblade 2, and it is indeed one of the fastest ways to get about the map, or the game in general. Pop these fights. Go. Don't ask me why you get this buff or why it's so powerful. I really couldn't tell you, but it's there. Is the Wellskate. This is by far the most important skill to learn in Warlock movement. This will allow you to move faster than almost every other ability you will learn in this video. However, this does take some practice as the timings are very tight. I do recommend going into the private match here and practicing on maps like Eternity that have very large open places for you to fly and make mistakes. However, do make sure that your game modifier is on Mayhem. This will allow your super to recharge very quickly if you mess up, which you will, and will allow you to get heavy ammo quickly as well, which you will need, as you are required to have a Eager Edge sword on you in order to do Wellskating. So the way to do this is to get real close to a ledge like the one that I have here. First, pull out your sword, then you will need to right click or your heavy attack for whichever platform you are on, jump, and then hit your super key. If all goes well, your inputs for well will be cancelled and your Eager Edge will end up sending you flying. Just like this. Changing an Icarus Dash or 2 in there will end up getting you very far. And you can also use this to pop heat rises and cross incredibly large gaps. If you've ever done the King's Fall raid, the entire chasm in the parkour section with the ships is indeed skippable.
Taxi, come back.
Right.
You can come back. No. Don't worry, bro. Shadow, you'll be my taxi, right?
Uh-oh. Yo,
Make sure to hit the ledge.
You almost died, bro.
yeah, I wonder why.
Watch works down there.
And the fifth thing we'll be learning today is snap canceling. Snap canceling can only be used with no super energy and the incinerator snapped melee equipped. This is a way to give you a small burst of momentum with little to no requirements. First slide, then jump, then press your super key. This will cancel your slide, then move you into the air, which you can then chain into a burst glide in Icarus Dash. It's a really good way to get you to change your direction that you're heading in very quickly. And that's most of the essential necessary movement tech for Warlock that can be used universally for all circumstances. If you have other techs that you wish to know or wish to go even further, I recommend Taco Fraud's Ultimate Warlock Movement Guide, which covers even strand movement. It's very in-depth and is very, very well done. But that's all from me for now, and for a while. I'm going off to college, so I'll be absent for a year or so, and who knows if I'll be back. It depends if Destiny can keep me entertained and the boys still want to play and still want to do flawless runs, but that's up to them. Aside from the sappy talk, I'll see you when I see you.